Freedom Fighters, coming back at you with another Manic Monday rant. And today's topic is going to be on a video I watched. Can't remember whose video that was. Maybe it was Frontier Prepper, or maybe Alaska Prepper. It might have been neither one of them. I really can't put my finger on it right now. But it was a topic that I was thinking about, and I'm like, I definitely need to do a video on that topic. And the topic is, you know, have you prepared for nothing to happen? And, they did the video about it, and they were saying the hardest thing that could possibly happen would be for nothing to happen. And you're like, well, wait a second, Freedom, that doesn't make any sense, or I don't understand. Um, but it's like, yeah, whatever you're preparing for, whether it's, World War III or whatnot, or Civil War, domestic, violence, or, um, civil unrest or whatever to break out within the country. Well, that's what you're preparing for and, trying to get ready for it. But basically, what he was laying out is if nothing happens and we just continue in this system and basically, do a slow bleed out, death by 1,000 cuts. You've heard the saying, or to boil in the pot, the frog in the pot that just, it slowly warms up and continues to warm over time before, all of a sudden it's bubbling and you're in a nice warm jacuzzi. You realize it's getting hot, but then it's, a flash boil and then you're fried, you're cooked. And, that's kind of what we're going into. And it's not going to be this instant overnight flashpoint. Like, you're not going to wake up in a revolution. You're not going to wake up in World War III or some end of the world type scenario. It's most likely going to be a 1984 police state. All the stuff that's been going on. They're constantly, and like I said, regardless of administration or who's in office or what politicians you put on, it seems that the agenda always moves forward. It's the continuance of the tyranny and the police state and the system as a whole that I talk about, that it doesn't seem we can ever get rid of. Like I've always, one of my main points that I always say is that you're not gonna vote your way out of this. And the things that I want, I'm not sure what you want, but I've always said the things that I realize why I've been separated from the voting process, and I've done videos on that as well. But the whole reason, I guess when I woke up and realized it was just all theater and everything like that, I'm just like, the things that I want aren't on the ballot. And they will never be on the ballot, right? All those things are usually reclaimed by blood. I'm just going to come out and bluntly say it. Like, I don't think a person's have ever freed themselves from tyranny or oppression by the voter's box. It's never happened. I recently did the video about the founding fathers, and that's where I exactly said, like, they didn't vote about it. They didn't petition the king and write letters. I even posted this one meme that's great. I found one time, and I use it frequently. But it's like they didn't vote. They didn't ask the king. They didn't storm the Capitol. They didn't write their congressman. They didn't wave signs. Uh, they fucking shot him. And yeah, I'm just going, saying it off the cuff this Monday, man. Like, it doesn't really matter anyway, because, this channel is beyond shadow banned and all the stuff, really. But all my accounts, YouTube, if you're on there, Rumble, it's a little bit, but, I still don't get much traffic there. And X, man, for everyone who says that, X is the free speech platform, I guess I'm not, like, banned completely, but I get no views, no traffic, um, no visibility on that platform. I think you have to pay for a blue check mark in order to get any, traffic or views or any, responses to your comments on there. And then True Social, um, I mean, that's becoming just overwhelmingly boomer app. And I actually have, I think, most of my subscriber base or whatnot comes from True Social, because that's kind of like where I started most of my stuff. Again, I'm not gonna go over my whole history here of being a Trump supporter and how I was in 2016 and how I shifted into um, whatever you want to call it, a freedom-minded, free-thinking, individual, constitutionalist, and I'm beholden to no man or idea that they, espouse, except for freedom and the Constitution. And it's become, whenever you call out, people believe, you have to agree with someone lockstep on everything. And I've gone into this before too, right? Um, you agree with somebody 90% of the time, but the other 10%, it's like if you don't agree with that, like you're their enemy. Um, and I get into lots of, confrontations with people on that app because it's a lot of boomers who just, take Trump at everything at his word. Um, but yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but a little side tangent there. But you know, I guess that was where we were headed, and it was like, we're going into that real life idiocracy. And I've talked about that before, and I think Trump said, next 4th of July, for the 250th, he was gonna have a fight on the White House lawn. And wasn't that literally like an idiocracy thing, or I can't remember. Was it like a WWE champion became president or something, and they were doing like fights or something in the White House, or I can't even remember. But yeah, I mean, the whole topic of the video was, nothing's happening, and it's like, I mean, you don't want it to happen, but at the same time, like, you want freedom. You want to get our country back. That's what many of us voted for when we were voting. Once upon a time. But I didn't vote in this last one. You already know what I thought about the whole circus and the theater. Um, but once upon a time, and people are still in that slumber where they were voting. You ask them what they voted for, and I mean everyone's answer is different, right? They might have been um, for whatever, deportations, or for to build the wall, or whatnot. And some of them are blinded by the theater. They think they're actually getting, getting what they, like I said in the other video with the big beautiful bill, and them saying that with the new money and the funding, that they are proposed to deport 1 million people a year. But it's like, okay, so for the rest of the presidency, you expect to get like 3 million illegals out? Like, that's not even the proposed numbers that, were even back in Obama's days and stuff like that, the 13, 14 million. I mean, you're talking about like a quarter of the population. And, it's like they're just and by the way, I don't even remember the exact numbers Obama deportations, but he was a heavy deporter, and I'd like to match up, Trump's and Obama's numbers when they're all done, and see, where they compare. But again, it's all emotions. It's how it makes people feel, so they feel like they're getting something different, and like, oh, Trump did it, he deported these people, but it's probably going to turn out to be the same numbers as Obama did. And it, it's not going to change. And it's like, the meme, poking the stick of like nothing ever happens or whatnot. And I've talked before about the trucker protest, up in Canada when they were protesting lockdowns, and how basically the police state came down, cracking down on them, identifying who's protesting, ruining their businesses, their trucker, taking their trucker's license, freezing bank accounts, all this stuff. And then they eventually caved and went home, and they confiscated their trucks and made an example to everybody else. You don't stand out, you don't disobey, you do as you're told, like a good little slave. And that's what they've done since. And they've done it here as well. I covered that when the American truckers were doing, what was it? Trump truckers, or, Trump across America, truckers across America, something like that. And they were like, yeah, California to DC, and they cucked out. They said, oh, we don't even want to like go into DC and block traffic, and we don't really want to, cause, any commotion or any trouble. We just wanted to bring notice to the cause. And they rented out a parking lot to park all the vehicles, and most people don't even know what happened because they didn't do anything. So again, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not creating any change within this system, and we're just gonna keep slowly, you know, drip bleeding out from these paper thin paper cuts, and no one's gonna notice because it's not an open gashing wound yet, right? We talked about this a little bit. One of my videos about the Titanic is sinking. Um, you got a little hole in the ship. You're trying to patch it up, with a band-aid, or just sticking some duct tape over it or whatnot. But then you hit the iceberg, and that's when it's really going down. But the boycotts I talked about, the go woke go broke crowd, and how they think they've won because this past June they didn't see all the overt in your face advertisements and all that. And I'm like, man, they're just laying in wait. They're just wait until the Democrats take back in office, and they can do it all again, and they show you their true colors, who they really are. But people think they've won, so they stop the boycotts. um I remember New York too. I was going to go on a New York trip last year, and we pulled out of there, first of all, because they don't allow any freedoms. But then everyone was talking about, the Trump arrest, and they were like, oh, we're going to boycott New York. And I think the truckers did a video on that too. They were like, oh, we're not going to deliver food to New York. We're not, supporting them. New York's going to collapse. I remember all the videos, oh, they're going down. And I think it was Angry Prepper, who lives in New York, was like, oh man, everyone's going to go ape shit, and it's going to be societal collapse in New York, and these people aren't ready, and they're not prepared, and everyone in New York is not prepared for this kind of stuff. And it's like, but nothing happened because the people have no will. The people aren't going to do anything. They're going to sit there and accept it and follow their masters and be good little sheep and slaves. So there's your black pill tip for that. This is Black Pilled Monday. This ain't even Manic Monday anymore. I guess that's the mood I was in today, man. I'm just like, I was thinking about it the other day. I can't remember what kicked it off. It was either that video, or I saw a meme where someone was saying something like that, and I'm like, no, they're right. Like, nothing's gonna happen. No one's gonna do anything about it, and we're just gonna further slip into the abyss. But on that note, man, I'm gonna leave it there. Till the next one, man. You know what it is. We are on our own. Nobody's coming to save you. So get right with God, because only God can save you. Freedom fighters out.